Hi, I'm Randy Reed, editor of Design Enlighten magazine, and we are at the IALD Enlighten Americas Conference at the beautiful Rancho Bernardo Inn near San Diego. The show has been spectacular, and we are getting ready for the award ceremony. I had the distinct pleasure of interviewing many of the awardees prior to them accepting the award later tonight. Here are their stories. Hi, I'm Randy Reed, editor of Design Enlighten magazine, and we are here at the IALD Enlighten Americas Conference, and I am joined by Keith Bradshaw of Speirs Major, and you are winning an award for the SKP Chengdu. It's an award of merit. Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay, tell our audience a little bit about that job.
So it's an interesting job for us because it is actually two jobs almost in one. It's a public park on the top, and then underneath that is a sunken kind of retail environment.
Okay, so let's talk about the top first. How did you like the top?
So the top is for the people of Chengdu. It's free to access. It's open 24 hours a day. It's a very large park, so rather than coming up with the same idea everywhere, it's almost like 10 different projects that we put together. Okay. And we lit every space quite differently, so it's a real kind of enjoyable experience to do the whole walk.
Okay, well, tell me more about the lighting. What kind of lighting did you use on it?
Yeah, I mean, the key for us was to make sure that every space had a kind of focal point. So part of that was recognizing what that kind of key moment was. So in some spaces, that's a water fountain. In other spaces, that's a kind of feature staircase. And then beyond that, what we did, rather than having lots of standard kind of bollard pole equipment, we created almost like a film set of equipment, which was a series of custom fixtures with large luminous panels on them. So it felt very much like the people in the landscape were having they were in a kind of show of themselves almost.
Okay, what color temperature?
Color temperature was around about 3,000 Kelvin. Some areas were slightly cooler, but around about 3,000 Kelvin for the general mood of the place.
Okay, any controls on the site?
Yeah, lots of controls everywhere. As I said, the park is open 24 hours a day. There is some dimming to make sure that when the park is less busy, we can reduce the power output.
All right, well, now let's hear about the bottom half of the project.
So in the bottom half, you move through the park into a large kind of sunken plaza. But the sunken plaza has many elements in it, different retail spaces. It feels very natural to go from the park to the retail spaces, and those retail spaces are kind of almost sunken buildings, so there's lots of facade lighting and kind of, again, features that kind of draw your eye down into the space, or if you're down in the space, you've got something good to look back up to in the park as well.
Okay, and again, let's talk about color temperature and controls.
So color temperature down there was really responsive to the materials, lots of bronze materials, quite a golden light that we used on those materials, but there's also some nice use of color to kind of really amplify some of the kind of younger spaces. The project kind of is kind of got dual retail, kind of fast fashion retail one end, which is really colorful, more golden at the high end.
What would you say was your biggest challenge on this job?
Biggest challenge, no doubt, was it was during COVID. The whole job was designed and built in 3 years during the COVID phase, so it was all a huge amount of kind of conversation online.
Okay, any issues with materials?
Not really. We're quite well used to working in mainland China. We know how to spec the jobs for that space. We know how to then kind of deal with all the kind of changes that come along in